Yes, ladies and gentlemen, nice to meet you here at the business end of our Kickoff Clash qualifiers. One more weekend of play to lock our teams in that are heading over to Texas to compete live, Matthew. A lot of stakes in these games coming up this weekend, and this first match isn't without them either. Yeah. The Los Angeles Gladiators may still be reeling after that reverse sweep by the Shock, but they've got to focus on getting to Texas now.
I even wore my my party jumpsuit today for this first game. You know, it's the El Clasico fit. As
I'm telling you, there's a hood with ears on it. I can just see it.
I almost want to buy a hood with ears on it that could go with it.
Does the zipper have to be up there? Because it makes you look like Dracula in a bear suit a little bit, you know what I mean? Okay, all right. Yes, it's a good Christian show. Good on you, Matt.
Yep.
Go on then.
This is important. This is important for the Gladiators, yeah. The Gladiators have some clinching scenarios here, right, where they could find their way to Dallas in the kickoff clash. You see kind of the standings here. London directly behind them. I mean, this is a massive game for both teams. When you kind of look at it, obviously the Gladiators would be the favorites. With 2 games remaining for London here, they need to kind of find a win in one of them to have a chance, right? And you look, the Gladiators might be with the way the Gladiators have played recently, might be the easier of the options between them and Atlanta. Because Atlanta, we've seen Atlanta play the Doomfist with Hawk. We've seen them play now, Gator Reinhardt style. They can kind of match the Spitfire in whatever they do. Maybe they're able to catch the Gladiators off guard a little bit.
I mean, let's be fair. The Gladiators' 2 losses came against first place San Francisco Shock and second place Dallas Fuel. So yes, they're at 2-2, but they've had one of the hardest schedules so far in this Kickoff Clash qualifiers to date. And look, you're right. I think the Spitfire, it's on the table for them here, but here's the stakes. If the Gladiators win, Florida and Houston will qualify for the Kickoff Clash. But if the Gladiators win 3-0 or 3-1, they themselves are going to get in and qualify. So they have their own destiny in their hands here, but it needs to be squeaky clean, Matthew.
I mean, what? If they win then 3-0 or 3-1, right? They would qualify themselves, Florida, and
it would solve a lot of our loose ends.
Yeah, I was going to say, you'd probably have like 5 teams then who would already be qualified for Dallas, with the 2 already qualified at the top of the standings in NA. So this match, barring the, with a Gladiators win, right, 3-0 or 3-1, tells us a lot about what that Dallas tournament's going to look like.
For the Gladiators here, Patapan and Kevster starting the roster. Patapan, I mean, maybe suffering some scrutiny from the pundits. Guy tweets like a JoJo character, so I guess I can't blame them. But he is back in here. And the Gladiators have plenty of options at that role at the very least. Shu and Funny Astro alongside Reiner. Let's have a look at the London Spitfire, the team that's been doing it their own way this season to some degree of success. We'll be seeing Sparker and Backbone start at DPS today.
I mean, they're winning the games they're supposed to win, right? When you took a look at their standings on the pre-show, they've beaten the teams that have losing records, and they lose to the teams that have winning records. Bad part for them is that coming into these final 2, both of them have winning records, so they're going to have to beat somebody. And I think they have a unique play style that definitely throws some of these other teams off.
One of the things we saw against the Houston Outlaws for the London Spitfire is that the fragility of their Baptiste-based compositions was exposed. The Outlaws found ways consistently to send Dante in to isolate Landon and pick him off. This was addressed in the pre-show as well on Watchpoint. The Spitfire's compositions aren't usually the most mobile, and they really want to play around the Reinhardt. That compactness, so to speak, is a weakness for them against compositions, that feature Doomfist, for example. Reiner, we've seen him play it, but more often than not, we see him switch to it late in the round where he needs a bit of extra mobility to get to a point faster.
Right.
He definitely overwhelmingly prefers that Winston play, and he looks incredible at that role.
He's looked good on every tank we've seen from him this far. New Queen Street will be the first map in the set, so we'll get push here at the start and the end. I would say this probably is pretty good for the Gladiators, right? Push seems to be a game type where if you can get that first fight win, it doesn't really kind of secure you the entire map, right? But it sets you up in a good position. We know the Gladiators can start to snowball this rather quickly, so the beginning of this map is going to be huge for London.
Curious to see what kind of position the London Spitfire choose to take if they're playing around that Reinhardt setup. Wow, it's quite some time since these two teams actually got to play each other.
Oh, wow, yeah.
My estimation is correct. The London Spitfire have changed somewhat since then. So is the game. Yeah, it's a bit of a different look. Shout out to Hardy, by the way. So right now, like pro players have access to like a scrim client, right? But when they don't scrim, they can queue up for quick play. But obviously, it's just the pros that have access to the client. So Hardy is constantly harassing the other
Hardy's rallying the troops
to queue up for quick play, because outside of scrims, he wants to. He just wants to play. The guy's seriously on the grind. And I think everyone's like, Hardy, shut up. We're doing something else right now. He's constantly tagging everyone.
He just wants to play some Reinhardt.
He's hungry, baby.
So Gladiators come out with that Doomfist composition right away. So they saw what it did last week against the London Spitfire. They were not able to adjust against it. So come out. Reinhardt's been pretty good on it thus far. Run it here against London early.
Okay, so the Doomfist does come out here. It's definitely a concession against this Reinhardt. Reinhardt's having to take a bit of poke, but there's a limit. And that's it right there. Hardy finds it.
Yeah, that looked like the limit. So he went in, he went out, he died. It's the bot now.
We got to find the limits before we can break them, Matt.
Yeah, the bot will now be controlled by London. So, like I mentioned, I think this is huge. London being able to get a little bit of momentum here early on, make any sort of bot progress, right? Now, you win this second fight, it gives you enough kind of progress with the bot that you can start to play a little bit more defensive and potentially even just win the round off of that.
Sparker existing in 5 FPS because his processing power is all being dedicated to the Soldier 76 AM. It was backbone actually to decimate Reiner. I mean, we should talk about this, Matt. Playing Doomfist into the Mei, not an easy task.
No, and even with Kepster, right? Kepster got onto the bot trying to contest a little bit, had to run right away with the Mei, the 76, and then even some Reinhardt damage, right? As the Reinhardt can just play around the objective with the shield as London takes that second fight. So starting to mount an offensive here. They're going to have this Blizzard rather soon. And then the Amp Matrix, I don't even think it's the biggest thing that Baptiste is providing here. It's the Immortality Field. A nice pin there by Hardy and then a finish from Backbone. But I think the Immortality Field is going to be huge. And you see it used right here to keep Backbone alive.
Vintage Chuddy into a lovely little Immortality Field play. It looks like the Gladiators, they actually look, Matt, like they're a little unsure about their win condition in this fight.
We've also heard teams just don't want to play against London in scrims if they're going to play this style because they don't really value the practice because nobody else is doing it, which for London, it then becomes a little bit of toss-up. Like, okay, if we see that like it's able to work against some Doomfist teams and we know how to work around it with like Winston-based comps, we can come into these games and catch people off as Kepster takes a load of shots there. It gets really low as that's going to be some shots through the Amp Matrix.
Okay, his attack visor now from Patapon. Sparker doesn't opt to use the Amp Matrix for his own ultimate there. Kepster running low on block. He deflects a couple of those shots in Sparker's direction, but he was never really under any pressure. Kepster's brought down. In the meantime, Hardy gets another charge on the Doomfist. This is also something to point out. Doom is relatively immobile when using power block, and he gets completely unraveled if Reinhardt charges him, especially with that power steering installed in this game.
And like I mentioned, getting this point push this far here for London, it's massive because even if the Gladiators get control of it and wipe London, you're still going to have another fight that happens at the middle of the map.
Kepster, Nanoblade here into a sound barrier. He's able to get rid of the Immortality Field, but there's so many defensive elements at play here for the Spitfire. They do lose Sparker. She's able to chime in with a bit of damage from the periphery, but he needs to be careful. Hardy is hunting him and moving the bot at the same time. Again, Reiner able to find Admiral, but that would have been a dead Doomfist either way as Hardy lines up the charge with the Mei wall.
Now, Funny Astro just gets on the bot here and just starts moving it the other way. He had about an even scenario in terms of players up for both teams, but just needs to buy his team more space, right? Does not want to allow them to push any further, so doesn't want to give up any more percentages. Look at this, the Gladiators, they've gotten 1 meter, man, about halfway through the game.
I don't want to overstate this. The Gladiators are in deep trouble. They've used every one of their ultimates that they built up at the first part of the round. We're about halfway in, and they really managed to get very little as a result. Sparker, Immortality Field deployed by Lander there. Going to be a Biotic Grenade thrown on top of him, but he's able to get back to the low ground. The rest of his teammates aren't so lucky, though. Patapan lays waste to the back line of the Spitfire. And the Gladiators, again, move into an aggressor's position.
Yes, they're going to have to... I mean, look at Hardy, though. Just kind of moving it alone.
That's so smart!
Yeah, just moving it alone. He'll drop. But once that London's going to be able to take this fight again, it's going to happen back towards near middle of the map. Like maybe the Gladiators get a little bit of progress here, but nothing to make London significantly worried. Yeah, you see where the bot is moving here currently. It's just going to hit mid-map now, and London's already back to take another fight.
Backbone, okay. He gets pressured on the flank, has to go for the ice block, and okay, this time, Reiner able to find elimination on Hardy. Much better start for the Gladiators here, and it may have something to do with where the Spitfire had to play from there, Matt, filtering through that choke into the fight.
Yeah, and I also think losing Hardy early is pretty tough, as he has the Shatter. He's kind of like your battering ram, right? You just kind of send him in, do some big damn, as Sparker ends up taking out Kipster. Maybe you can actually make something out of this if you're London. You got to attack pretty quick, though. Yeah, you see Hardy gets right into it.
An almost perpetual state of blue steel there for Reiner. He realizes he can't do too much against right.
I don't know why. I thought it was quite funny that Hardy stood there motionless with his shield up and everybody just ran.
Not much phases him. I remember him getting a 5K on his own.
Yeah, that was sick, yeah.
He's still chewing gum, looking deadpan. He's been there before, Matthew. Here's that tactical visor from Patapan. It comes from the low ground here. Kind of hard to unseat the Spitfire from this, and the Spark is able to connect onto Kevster with that Helix rocket. Patapan realizes, hang on, there's not much to be done here. In fact, I'm going to turn tail and get out before I get crunched.
And it looked like it was a solo Shatter from Hardy onto Reiner, so just using the Shatter to get the Doom out of the way. Had the Meteor Strike at that time, so don't want to allow him to channel that, get up, get out, you know, maybe even just kind of and just knock a lot of your players around within the team. Is, you know, Kevster's got this blade. You're going to have Sound Barrier on the other side. If you're... what? I mean, that Icicle is huge, and then Sparker with the finish.
Unbelievably clean there from Backbone. Sparker obviously chiming in with that elimination. Kevster the blade. He finds land, and he gets through the Immortality Field. That's all he's going to get for now, though. Eventually, he'll be felled.
He gets through the Immortality Field and Sound Barrier. Sound Barrier was used there as well, as Reiner uses the Meteor Strike as like basically 1 HP just to get out. Is Funny Astro has been such a nuisance when these fights are going on. Just getting behind London and moving the bot closer back towards middle map.
The Gladiators have 1 minute and 15 seconds to come up with a way to break the Spitfire, and they need to do it against this this Blizzard and this Amp Matrix play. Reiner's taking a beating. I mean, what do? Turn around and see the Ryan coming your way? Not a damn thing you can do about it. He does at least get the knockdown. There's a sleep that comes in onto Hardy, but all it ends up being is a trade with the Spitfire still ahead, and going 1-for-1 is not enough for the Gladiators here.
No, just this kind of middle map contest over and over again is not going to be enough for the Gladiators. And see, they lose 2 players there. His Kevster gets pretty low. He's trying to get on top. To get some healing, get out of line of sight. But the Gladiators, Mitch, they've thrown like all these ultimates into this, and they've gotten just, what, 3 meters in their last, you know, since their last best push attempt. It's really like absolutely nothing. Is you keep playing this neutral fight here, they're going to have the Blizzard to toss into this. This is not a good spot for the Gladiators to be fighting from.
The Gladiators now need to string together multiple fight wins. With what? A nano boost and maybe a tactical visor built in this next engagement. And if it doesn't work, it'll be their last. Shu tries to get eyes on Reiner, keep him topped up as he tries to go in, and Kevster's found Backbone early. Line up the attack visor here. Shu and Patapan can combine for some results here, Matthew.
Yeah, and I'm surprised London gave up some of that initial positioning, as this will be attack visor here from Sparker. Patapan's going to use his as well.
No nano for Patapan here. He's going to go without it, trying to get as much damage as he can, but Sparker keeps him low. Landon's Immortality Field is removed, and now Patapan needs to go on a heroic flank. He has to come up with something here. The wall almost cuts off his route of a retreat. I mean, Backbone almost took him down with those icicles. Now we're in overtime. The Glads have a long way to go still, and that's not a good start to the fight. They've lost all their DPS, and the Sound Barrier comes too late in the day. Can they get it done with 2? The answer is a big fat no as the Shatter comes down. And the London Spitfire outlasts the Gladiators here on this first round.
And London played great for 95% of that round. That end got a little scary for me. You know, seeing how they kind of played that position, they were backing up. You had a Blizzard to basically just kind of toss on the bot, move people out of the way, but they're able to pull it out at the end. Is this could be a very interesting series if the Gladiators are not able to counter this comp.
That map was all Backbone. 12 final blows for this. Stellar effort for the London Spitfire, and a great start here. They want to qualify for Texas. These are the first steps they need to be taking. See you soon. Good start for the London Spitfire, Matthew. It's that patented Reinhardt composition that gives them the W in map number 1. Now, while our admins are finding some picnic baskets for you, what are your thoughts on what we saw from the Gladiators?
Why would I need a picnic basket?
I don't know, Yogi. Why do you?
I look like, did you see that Winnie the Pooh Blood and Honey thing? I look like I'm auditioning for the new Winnie the Pooh.
Oh my God. Yeah, that sounds about right. Why do you think, okay, here's a question for you. Is Doomfist really that disadvantaged against Reinhardt in that sort of scenario? Or is there some other reason that the Gladiators struggled so much to break through this Spitfire setup?
I think if the Doomfist can't like really disrupt what's going on with the Soldier 76 and the Batiste, right? You can like get on top of the Reinhardt or whatever, but you get booped, the Reinhardt swinging at you, and then you just take like we talk about like Batiste with the Immortality Field and Amatrix, but he also provides a decent amount of damage as well, right? From like a support role. So just it's that extra damage that makes it difficult. And all you have is the power block, where I think teams at this point have done a really nice job of like knowing how to avoid like just kind of like charging up that Doomfist punch and really making it a non-factor. So I think they're just making it really tough. It seems like also London, they probably know people are going to start doing this against them, right? So they probably just decided like how they're going to play against it after they lose against the Outlaws, where they're playing the Doomfist and running all over them. They probably went back and said, okay, teams are going to try and copy this. How do we want to play against it?
So it seems like they developed resilience not only against the Winston comps, but also the Doomfist-based ones. Like you said, some very teachable moments in that matchup against the Outlaws last week, where Landon was getting isolated much more. It seems like now Admiral really on top of him, playing around him, and obviously booping that Doomfist away whenever possible. This now begs the question: we're heading to Dorado for the next map, right?
Yeah.
Can you force Reinhardt through this as an attacking side?
They're gonna
against
I mean, well, actually,
yeah.
We've seen,
If
I say yes or no, they're still probably going to do it. We have seen Hadi and London play some Winston, so maybe it's not out of the question we see some Winston. You see the subs here at the bottom. Shax is going to come in for Backbone. That tells me they're going to try to play like Soldier Tracer, right? Bringing in Shax, as Shax is a fantastic Tracer player. And then we also have some subs here for the Gladiators. So Ons will be coming in, and then I believe we also have Skewed coming in the support role.
Yeah, how do you feel about Arns playing Widowmaker against a Reinhardt-based composition, if that's what we get? Widow against, like, Soldier Tracer?
I mean...
Does it evoke any feelings within you?
Not really. I also think, like, Ons could definitely just play the Soldier 76, right? And you have Kevster in to play the Genji. He can play Tracer as well, right? I think and maybe kind of what you saw from Patafon at the beginning of the game wasn't really kind of what you wanted to see there in map number 1 in terms of the Soldier v Soldier battle, and you want to try Ons. Even now, Dorado, I mean, maybe you can actually play some Widow, but against Reinhardt comps, it's kind of tough.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, especially with the proclivity of the Spitfire to try and play so grouped up much of the time. Again, it's just an exciting thing when you see Arns get substituted in, but the Soldier being able to flank and circumvent that barrier seems a little bit more favorable if you're the Los Angeles Gladiators. They'll be starting on the attacking side, so we'll talk about them in just a moment. I think the London Spitfires comp here will be telling, if they are obviously with a Reinhardt, you can't stage that high ground sort of dive defense that apparently the Philadelphia Fusion forgot how to play if you've watched them the last couple of nights, but that's another story. Okay, it is Winston here for the Spitfire.
Yeah, we've seen them play a little bit of this. You also have the Brig in the mix, right? Brig pretty good here on Dorado. Pretty good, I think, just in general in the 5v5 build, right? We'll see what the Gladiators decide to do, because I feel like, for me, the Widow is so, especially down one map, it is kind of a bit of a gamble, right? Like you talked about, the Gladiators really need to sweep these next 3 maps to secure them a spot, and then also it would be, Florida Mayhem as well as, I believe, it's the Atlanta Reign, right, getting in, so.
Yeah.
Definitely a lot riding on the line for a lot of teams watching this. Is Ons with the teleporter up to the high ground. It's Skewed on his own there.
Up, boy!
And there he goes. Okay.
See you later. Yeah, obviously, remember the knockback portion of Winston's jump is not something to be underestimated. And that's extremely high value elimination for Hardy, who now gets to remain up on this high ground here. And the Gladiators obviously aren't.
Yeah, Shoe dropped immediately. Shoe dropped immediately, and then you never got Ons up there. So you're never able to, contest that for long. Hadi gets low, but they're going to have Shax contest the payload here for a little bit. Now back up. How do they deal with this On's Widowmaker, though?
Gonna have to find ways to pressure it, use high ground with that soldier to keep her low and get Hardy in her face, I dare say. Shax is called up here to try and pressure, and wow, nicely done. That's a 2-clipper.
And we know how good Shax's Tracer is. It's not going to be something easy to deal with and take out, as they know that Kepser is going back to the spawn. They know they have some players trapped underneath, but London going to play really disciplined, not chase. So this is a pretty good defense thus far.
Again, it's up to Arns to try and find some angles. That one there, obviously not bad, but you know, Admiral has that shield at the ready. Hardy, okay, in for a penny, in for a pound. Arns forced to drop off the high ground there, still needs to be cognizant of the eyes, watching him from that high ground, and Hardy gives him a bit of a taste from afar, who's more than happy to chill in his bubble.
It's also hard for Reiner to get in and make a play. I was like, does he know that's where London is? It's hard for Reiner to get in and make a play because he's diving in to an Ana, the Brigitte, in the Soldier 76.
Arns really throwing caution to the wind there, trying to make a close range play. It doesn't work out. Scoot now going to get the nano boost. Hardy in for the primal here. Probably looking at pressure down the back line. It's Shu that got his eye early on. Again, just general displacement will be nice, but they've lost their back line here. Hardy knows now maybe trying to find some eliminations to slow the Gladiators down is the order of the day, but he really lacks teammates and an escape route as well.
And I thought that was going to be one where London was going to be able to turn that a little bit, because Shu had actually slept Hardy when he had the nano boost on him, and then he gets woken up, I believe maybe by Skewed, but they just invest the nano onto the Brig. Skewed able to stay alive, and look at this, the Gladiators, 4 ultimates coming into this next fight, should be able to start to mount some serious payload progress.
Arns ever vigilant of the persistent threat of Shax. He'll be revealed to him now with that infra sight, and Arns will just reposition. Again, knows he's in no immediate danger from the Tracer, so has some time to scope in and wait a little patiently here. But again, Admiral always has that shield up.
Headshot on Ahadi. Oh, that's going to be a blade from Kepser. All right, I was like, you got to see what's going to happen there. It just goes to swing at the doorway. Doesn't force out the rally, though.
Force out anything, really. That's incredible and devastating. Sparker was going to make the big play, and he gets taken down by Arns. Reiner now with a primal rage inside the courthouse here. Good spot to be. Landon going to get pressured down. Scoot as well can just fling the mace around, and there's really no way to Spitfire get out of this in one piece.
No, and the way they would have is try to push out with this tack visor. We can see from Ans's POV, the visor. I mean,
that is putrid.
Yeah.
That is absolutely
He's like
putrid.
barely on the screen.
Shax with a touch here. Arns in pole position. Very flicky style of aim from this gentleman. Landon goes down early. Hardy makes the jump onto the Widow. It's going to be a death grapple. Oh my word! Admiral gets basted. And Arns steps up to the cart. That one gets home. It's 2 checkpoints here for the Gladiators.
And when he plays like this, there's nothing really the other team can do. I mean, there's not many Widowmakers in the league that can go like toe-to-toe with Ons, if any. And it just it forces London to change their entire game plan, because even if he's not getting these picks, right, he's just landing these headshots constantly on Ahadi and making it difficult. Ahadi's jumping into fights at like 50% HP. It's a huge win. Okay.
Dude, that's
interesting.
Yeah, perhaps I think he's trying to run towards Shu and get healed up, and the bubble makes that impossible. Nice sleep there from Shu, a little predictive as Hardy swung that corner. Not really able to do too much else here though. Kepser takes so much damage that even though they hit the Bardic Grenade onto Hardy, he's going to have the primal if he needs to get out of jail free card here. Reiner will take the free ult charge by the looks of things. Maybe double down here. Bardic Grenade connects onto him and Kepster by the looks of things, and Admiral's able to finish the kill. It's traded. Sparker falls on that Soldier 76, but Hardy's looking to work some mischief in the back line of the Gladiators as well. Rock'em Sock'em Arena for the Winstons. As Hardy heads downstairs once more. Skewed's able to find a couple key kills here, and Reiner a little unsure where to put himself presently. And he respects Landon's sleep. Unfortunately, that's not enough to prevent it coming through.
Oh, and he's going to get Biotic Grenade. It almost makes it out, but not going to. Is nice Biotic Grenades from both Anas, right? I know Landon with 2 during that kind of whole sequence, and then Shu with 1, where And we were on board with Reiner at the beginning. If Shu was still a little bit closer and had like their 3 players up top, no Winston bubble, could have sealed the deal there, but was in that position at the time. As maybe we see a Dragon Blade here from Kevster as there's no ultimates on the other side.
Arns was looking for Shax. He's a little bit too late. The timing didn't favor him. Grapples backwards.
Yeah, they actually play a little bit closer up than I think the Gladiators expect, and they jump right on top of Shu. And they're going to rally and use the blade here.
Reiner's dead. 100% there. Can't do anything. Another biotic grenade to secure the elimination on the enemy Winston. And Spark has found Arns with that Helix rocket. The Gladiators are trying to inch this payload further, but it's pretty clear they're starting to run into a brick wall. There was a rally in that fight for naught.
They rally and bladed during that fight. So you rally, bladed, now you're going to have to switch off of the Widowmaker to Soldier. With 1 minute and 30 to go, you have no ultimates. The best spot you're in is like 50% to them. And you're walking into a London Spitfire team that is going to have 4 ultimates for this next fight with 1 minute and 20 on the clock. It's not looking great for the Gladiators.
Landon with the nano with the ready here. Here's some commotion downstairs. It's Kevster and Shax trading pleasantries. 1 minute and 10 on the clock right now. And the Gladiators starting to get a little hungry for this one for sure. Hardy gets the nano here, but Arns already taken down. And another bio nade from Landon secures yet another kill. The London Spitfire starting to gain some altitude here. Hardy playing fairly conservatively, not over chasing, as they know it's a tenuous hold at best.
And they win that just by investing the nano. Hardy may have to primal here to save his life as Shu in a world.
Who's stuck in here with who again?
Yeah. So Hardy will be able to make it out. And you had to use the primal at the end there, which kind of stings, but you're going to have Pulse Bomb, you're going to have, you use a Pulse Bomb there, you're going to have Tac Visor here from the high ground, and you're also going to have Sound Barrier, which is like a huge ultimate to keep you alive to this next fight where London could hold the Gladiators from completing the map.
Los Angeles now have to come up with a way to break this hold from the Spitfire. Reiner has a peek out, doesn't like what he sees. Back to safety. Gladiators now jockeying for position as Sparker takes a bolt from afar. Here's a Sound Barrier Tactical Visor combo, and Sparker's trying to push up another huge binding grenade, this time onto the Spitfire though. Landon and Admiral affected by that, but the Sound Barrier inoculated for a time at least. Sparker drops, sees someone on the carpet, knows there's more of a fight to be had here as Hardy gets rid of Skewed. It's a primal rage from Reiner, try and find the Soldier 76, but he holds up under the heat. Good pressure from Landon. Admiral shuts Kevster down as he tries to approach, and it's just Reiner now being corralled by the remainders of the Spitfire. The Gladiators' run ends here.
So good defense from London. Their point A defense was pretty solid. Point B, that's where Ons took over, but that's a part of the map where you think the Widowmaker excels probably the most. With like some high ground control, but here at the end, London able to chain some ultimates together, able to win some key fights, prevent the Gladiators from completing the map. So London Spitfire come into this today, Mitch. They look locked in. They obviously the Gladiators know what's on the line for them and their chances to go to Dallas. London on the other side, they're like, hey, we're 2-2. Like we still have a chance as well, right? They win this game. I'd have to imagine they're in a pretty good spot, right? As they're right behind the Gladiators currently, and then would have a win over them. So London, they don't want to kind of just like, roll over here and just let the Gladiators march on into the kickoff clash. They're putting up a really good fight. They want to go as well.
Hardy is accounting right now for 1/3 of his team's damage and almost half of their final blows. Absolutely staggering performance on the Winston so far. It all started obviously with the knockoff of Skewed, but throughout the entire round, Hardy looks like he has a really good grasp of how to pace the fights against the Gladiators and also how to position himself to, pressure Reiner as much as possible. He and Landon are combining for so many anti-Winston plays. Been really hard for Reiner to get a look at.
I have a question for you. What's your thoughts on the Widowmaker? More effective on offense or defense here for you?
Generally on offense because it's less predictable, I think, the angles that you sort of take. I think this is an exception just because that defensive Winston can access you pretty comfortably. But on attack, I always feel it's better. On defense, you're kind of hedged and your sightlines can get shut down by a dive.
I was going to say as well, like, when the Winston comes in with a Tracer, you don't have the Soldier 76 damage, like the consistent damage, when the players get in your face, right? Where I think that's something you probably worry about with the Widow on defense. For offense, you can dictate the pace a little bit more, right?
Yeah, Arns definitely feels like he has to be more reactive here.
And it looks
Maybe
like
less freedom as well.
Yeah, it looks like they're trying to set up some type of like collapse on Ants on the high ground, and you see how kind of passive he has to be. Is Kevster just takes out Shax. I believe Shax got like hit as well, but Kevster puts down a ton of the damage here.
I mean, and that's a huge relief valve here. Kevster has to roll. Okay, another bionic grenade. That's scary stuff. Kevster can't get away from Hardy there. Reiner tries to bark, force the Spitfire back for a time here, but Kevster is on a long walk, and Hardy's found Arns as well. We talk about the Widow getting shut down, not being able to play those angles, and I mean, that plays out exactly that way here. The Gladiators get kicked out of town.
And they didn't have a ton of damage with their dive, as opposed to London kind of playing a little bit more defensive. As Kevster now comes back on Tracer, and I like that setup better than the Genji. I think the Genji is great for the blade and whatnot, but I think if you're looking for that damage to finish players off and help Reiner out, the Tracer's the right call.
Arns has to come up with something here, Matthew, but his options are limited, and so is his lifespan. Shax descends upon him as soon as his feet touch the ground, and Hardy's Primal Rage is going to make life awful hard for the backline of the Gladiators. Spark is going to respond with a tactical visor now. He sees the Winston bubble, but now it's broken. 60 HP in a dream left. Throws that biotic field down to stave off Kevster, but the Spitfire haven't broken through yet. Again, they send Hardy forward, this time with a nano boost to try and get rid of Reiner, get rid of the defenders, and Arns is caught once more by the Winston. Hardy will not be denied.
And the biggest thing is Shu here on this right-hand side. Like, it's great that they're getting the Widowmaker out of the equation. It looks like players got off the cart there for a second and gets through, but no, they let Shu just kind of poke out of that right doorway and just constantly keep everybody alive. That was what was able to have the Gladiators be able to keep this going for as long as it did. They're fortunate that people got off, because like you still haven't seen them be able to take advantage of Shu playing that close and having to play that close, thin line of sight. Nice whip.
Response from skewed there. That'll deny the Winston dive. Shax, no stun on that shield bash there, so we could have gotten away from that one. But Hardy's able to find skewed once more again. This Winston from the Spitfire is looking imperious. That's Arns finally chiming in. The Glads need more of that.
And this is the part of the map where the Widowmaker is more effective. Longer sight lines, lots of high ground. This is where you think if the Widowmaker was going to pay off, this would be it. London also doesn't really have like a Genji option, right? They don't have somebody like a Kevster, right, who can swap through everything. Backbone is the one we've seen play the Genji for London.
Arns has to play again from another awkward angle. Here's a sound barrier inside the courthouse. What's the verdict? Kevster guilty. Sparker removes him immediately, and Reiner has to abscond to the high ground for a top-up.
That's also like a... that's going to be a two-player biotic grenade from Shu. I'm not sure you're going to be able to get any kills out of it.
Oh, no.
Also a part of the map where, like, if you're the Gladiators, you do not want to fight in there. Like, what value is the Widowmaker providing if you're fighting inside of... if everybody is inside of the courthouse? Just kind of observing at range. Now, they're going to have a Primal here. Like, if they pop walls, let's say Bounce gets it, you'll have a Primal to just kind of knock him out of the way, get in his face. And then you're also going to have a Tac Visor with a Nano here. They throw everything at this. Pulse Bomb, Tac Visor, Nano.
Sparker wants to break through. Reiner's taking a licking on the card, even in Primal Rage form. He's felled by the Helix Rocket. Kevster desperately trying to blink onto the point, and Skewed's there, try and get some healing via proximity, but Arns can't do anything from the high ground. There's a bloody bubble in the way. The Widowmaker can take him down again. Arns is 4 final blows, 9 deaths. Hardy, on the other hand, 15 and 4.
It's feast or famine, like we were talking about pre-map with the Widowmaker. He's going to have to play the Soldier 76 now. It's the Widowmaker in that part of the map where it should have been the most effective was not. You're now going to kind of fall so far behind in terms of Tac Visor, right? It's going to be 50% already for Sparker, and he just used one. As the payload making really good progress. 3 minutes on the clock is a good amount of time as well. So London sets themselves up here to potentially go up 2-0.
Arms on the Soldier. Has to back up there. Got a fortune cookie midway through the fight. Here's the Primal Rage coming in from Hardy. The Spitfire want to double down and finish it now, Matt. They're committing. Hardy again going to try and contain the Gladiators on this high ground, but he's hit with a Bionic Grenade, and now he's going to have to jump away. If he survives, that would be unreal. He gets away. Skewed now again. Healing for the low ground play, but look at the card, Matt.
And look for Shax with this Pulse Bomb. If you can land a Pulse Bomb onto somebody like Shu or maybe even Ants. The last fight, Shax landed it onto Shu. That could be the opener that they need to push this over the line.
Shax has to recall there. Kevster bears down upon him. And so we'll take 5 for the Spitfire. They still have 2 minutes to work with the Gladiators.
They build up Nano here. They have a Sound Barrier and Nano here coming in.
Oh! That's a 4-player Vital Grenade there. Huge from Shoot. Is it going to be enough, though? The Sound Barrier was in play for Admiral, and Spark is going to find the Tac Visor elimination. There's no healers left for the Gladiators. Spark now looks to return and claim what is his. It's just Reiner that stands in their way. Almost primal rage from Reiner. Can he get there? Yes, he can buy just a little bit more time. He's already down to half health, but Arthur's going to chime in now with his own tactical visor. This could be the trick for the Gladiators, but the card is ever closer. We're under a meter left. Diving back in goes Reiner here as Sparker needs to respect and space a little bit. A break now as Hardy's given a body grenade, and the Spitfire, 90 seconds, they need to go.
Yes, Hardy is going to have Primal here in a second. A Biotic Grenade on Hardy, and they're going to jump right over the top, try and finish him off. Not able to do so, going to get the Primal off.
Kevs has a pulse bomb, it's a big stick, and Lennon is felled. Now it's up to Admiral to try and keep the Spitfire alive, but he in turn is hit with a Biotic Grenade himself. Reiner backs away. Answer's going to get rid of Sparker here, and the Spitfire might have to pack it in for this fight. They just can't get there.
So a minute on the clock. Just probably going to have Pulse Bomb here coming up, as Shu will have Nano skewed with the rally. This Pulse Bomb from Shax has to be big, or can you force control over the high ground and maybe get Sparker in a position, pick up a kill on the high ground, then Tac Visor and seal the deal. This seemed to be your passive victory here for London.
2 Pulse Bomb kills this map so far for Shax. We'll need to add to that tally here to give the Spitfire the window they're looking for.
He knows where Shu is now. Kind of spots on that back staircase, so has a good idea of where Shu is if he wants to go make a play. They get Visor as well. They're going to play for the high ground.
Hardy has to play slow here, though. Hit with a body grenade. Tac Visor comes in from Spark and no Nano to back it up here. Can he find Shu? He can! That is massive! That could be the door open now, but Reiner gets himself the Nano boost just as Shu went down. Keeps the Winston in the fight. Pulse Bomb thrown at the feet of Hardy. He's able to shrug it off for the most part. That's a recall there for Shax. Skewed now. Knows there's going to be a Primal Rage Winston for Reiner, but he slept. Huge play there from Lana before he goes down. He's able to give the Nano boost over towards his Winston as well, and Hardy's looking to try and find some damage with it. It's just skewed though. Now we're into overtime. Admiral has to touch, and Hardy's taken down. The Spitfire. It's a crash and burn on Dorado.
And the Gladiators looked really much better there on defense towards the end. Once they got off of that Widowmaker, the Widowmaker did not work there on Dorado defense. But London, that is one where they kind of had the Gladiators on the ropes, Mitch. They gotta, if you want to make the kickoff clash and you want to go deep in some of these playoff scenarios and tournaments, those are the type of maps you gotta win. So that one, I feel like they may have given away.
Unreal resilience there from the Los Angeles Gladiators. The Spitfire needs to push that frustration down and find themselves this next map on the other side of this break. Don't go anywhere. This one's turning out to be a little spicy. Pick'em is heating up with all new private leaderboards and bracket play. Be sure to get your predictions in for the upcoming Kickoff Clash for a chance to win cash prizes and our tokens. Now available on the Overwatch League mobile app. Private leaderboards? Hell yeah, I'm about that. My Discord people are trying to, you know, brag up on me with their nerdy predictions. Because that's all they do, just make preds and boast about them. Yeah, well, now you have a chance to do that with your friends too.
Everybody's a genius now, right? Everybody's
everyone's an Overwatch analyst. God help me.
They make some YouTube videos just circling stuff on the map. So we go into the third map in the series. I think, like, obviously the Gladiators win the map. You see here we have subs, everybody kind of going back to the starting lineups. I don't think either team's been, like, overly impressive. If anything, I'm more impressed with, like, London's performance currently. Because the Gladiators, you know, when you look at the roster and the talent on it, you expect them to be, you know, maybe not, like, dominant like the Shock or the Fuel are currently, but you think they could be that, right? They could reach that level with the talent that they have. In which, if you're going to do that, you have to kind of go into each match, you know, day in, day out. It's kind of tough throughout the season, but, you know, you have to, you don't want to say, like, destroy, but you kind of have to, like, roll over teams, you know, like Spitfire, where Spitfire putting up a great fight. They, you know, over the course of the first two maps, they've looked like the better team. And going into King's Row, this is a map that you can play exactly what London likes to play.
Yeah, I would say only the last 90 seconds of Dorado was where we saw the Gladiators start to show a little bit more of that mettle that they've demonstrated so far this season. And you did right. I mean, to be fair, Hardy is accounting for a disproportionately high number of final blows when he plays Winston. So, you know, as much as we talk up his Rhine, in the Winston comps, he gets a heck of a lot of work done. I was really impressed to watch him throughout the round. Very aggressive, very well backed up by his Ana in Landon. So here, of course, a much more classical London Spitfire look here. And once again, Matt, it's going to be up to the Gladiators to figure out how they break this Reinhardt Baptiste comp. They didn't do it on map 1. They looked, frankly, awful against it.
And the May can be pretty oppressive at the choke as well. The Doomfist can get in, but it makes it very difficult for everybody else. Not have the mobility to just kind of jump over the wall there. So we'll see what the Gladiators decide to play. Do they play this Doomfist like map number 1? Do they maybe try and play some of the Winston comps? Also possibly, do we see them even try and pull out a Reinhardt of their own? As a few shots from Kepster going to go over to the Ginge.
Reinhardt doesn't mean what you think it means, Matt. It's Doomfist.
Yeah.
To the high ground now. So again, you've got position. You're trying to zero in on Landon's location. You know where he is. That's a very sad looking power block.
And just kind of look, you know, Ryder is looking up top and wondering, like, should I go up there? And knowing in the back of his mind, like, there's a May up there. There's the Immortality field. It's not a tick taken yet by the Gladiators. Just trying to poke and work their way up here towards this high ground.
Right. So that's the core issue for the Gladiators, I think, illustrated for us in probably the clearest way possible so far. Even if you get him with Doomfist, Matt, what are you supposed to do against that Immortality field?
The Immortality field, the Batiste damage at that point, and also, like, Sparker just came around the corner fired a Helix Rocket. Like, he had taken so much damage just coming into that engagement that, like, you didn't even need the Soldier to be pumping in tons of damage to the Doomfist. So,
can I make an observation?
Sure.
One thing that we saw that Dante do more was not try and necessarily go for kills on the enemy Baptiste, but to displace him.
Right.
To get him away from his own Immortality field and set up the kill for his teammates. Maybe Reiner here, looking to do a similar thing, right? Need to really punish the positioning of this roster. Funny Astro there, goes too deep, and again, it's pretty hard to be the Speed Demon when you've got a May putting you on ice.
Although Doomfist is a tank, right, and plays a bit different than the DPS Doomfist, Dante still was a very good Doomfist player before he was a tank. So
absolutely,
kind of has a good idea of, you know, how to work Doomfist. Probably better than some of the tanks. I mean, definitely better than some of the tanks learning how to play Doomfist currently. You know, high ground still here for the London Spitfire. So, I think one thing you also saw Dante do a little bit differently was, like, not take these kind of, like, straightforward routes. There, that time Ryder gets right on top of land and finishes them off.
Yep. No one was home. They left the Baptiste on an island. There was no Lucio close by. Reiner is felled by Hardy's Fire Strike though. The Spitfire opt to give a little bit of ground here, being down 2 players.
Can they come back and try and fight this? So like, do they have, they'll have like a speed boost and they'll get the Reinhardt in position. There'll be sound barrier for London, yeah.
Okay, I like the disengage here from the Gladiators though. Reiner almost knows that this is coming, so you wait out the sound barrier. You're well positioned to, again, get in the back line. Look at this pressure on Landon. Admiral needs to be there, but no one is there for the Baptiste at all. He has to MO himself, man, and Kevster blades him out.
Is that Blizzard going to be enough? Some players will point, how is Kevster still alive? I mean, that is just silly.
Oh my god, Reiner. Again, the radiating field from Seismic Slam, I don't think that Admiral's ready for that. He's not looking at the Doomfist. Reiner just chases in there and it's like, I know I can get a kill here, and he can slow Backbone down from chasing Kevster. Great play from Reiner there, using just the crowd control element of his kit very effectively.
If you're London now, you gotta try and get back into this fight as soon as possible. You want to play at these chokes. That's where you're gonna get the most effect out of the Mei with the Reinhardt combination. Looks like they're gonna wrap a little bit here. So what are you gonna do? You're gonna wrap? Are they gonna go high ground? Like, no shot. They're gonna speed up behind them here and try and jump down.
Does this benefit you? You need to drop down and have good positioning when you drop down. So I like they're not going too fast here, right? Hardy drops down first, everyone behind him. They're going to force some action. That shield is a little low, so eventually it's going to be go time! Oh my god, Shu gets sucked in like a gigantic angry German Dyson. But it's going to be the Gladiators who respond in kind, and they get rid of Landon crucially here. Their immortality field already used up, and Hardy was away from his team, and this is what happens when you can cause displacement or get the Reinhardt away from the rest of their roster. You see what happens to the Spitfire there. The Glads have great sightlines.
It's like an odd position to fight from if you're London. You're kind of taking the offensive side of the map and allowing the Gladiators to kind of play from inside that library, like that shop over there on the side. They have a lot of areas they can play from, and just they burnt down that Hardy shield, and then you're just kind of standing in the choke and nothing to do.
Well, Homie charged away, didn't he? So, you know, obviously can't render much protection to the rest of his team there. Maybe a little over-aggressive, but he was trying to make something happen. Kevster may have bladed if he'd made that jump. Unclear, though. Reiner has to Meteor Strike out of trouble, but the Gladiators have a staging ground here, right? Shu's close to Nano, can build it off Reiner, and can send Kevster in with a blade here. Just a blade, no Nano right now, but Kevster's happy enough with that. Even with the Bardic Field in play, he's able to ruin Sparker, and he comes up on Landon like a storm cloud from behind. Clean as you like, the Gladiators get what they came for.
Yeah, I think Hardy may have tried to shatter Kevster there when he kind of turned and went for the blade, and obviously did not connect as Kevster being able to make a play with the blade, getting the Gladiators the second checkpoint. So 2 minutes, 30 seconds, decent amount of time to complete the map. So you do have some ultimates coming in here for London. So London going to push up, try and get a little bit more aggressive at this corner.
The natural high ground here is really important for Kevster and Reiner to make use of. Puts the Spitfire in a bit of an awkward position. They need to try and find a way to get value out of Blizzard, but will the Gladiators line up for them like that? Okay, Backbone, Blizzard goes down. That's going to be blown up by Shu instantly, and Kevster takes a big risk. He dives into the snowstorm, and he comes up with Hardy. Beautiful stuff. Reiner just, again, causing some spacing issues at the back. This will allow the Gladiators to get some progress, but losing the Doom might mean that, they might have to back up.
You rarely see a fight where, you know, the team that Blizzard loses 3 players basically immediately. As did not work out for London there, they'll be able to get back to the card. But not in a fantastic position, right? As Funny Astral have this beat, you can use the beat aggressively to engage and just run them down.
Yeah, and again, just Kevster pressure. He's just meleeing right now. Deflect some of that damage, try and get in between the enemy team and their Amp Matrix, and it works for a time, but eventually Sparker gets an amped Helix Rocket. Kevster, and Reiner is charged down by Hardy, so again, the Spitfire can regroup here.
All right, so it's a big fight there for London. As that sound barrier engage, I thought that was going to be it. It gives you enough, big overhealing to just make plays, but not able to, make enough. The supports of London keeping themselves alive. Here's a blade, and that time the shatter connects.
Energy there from Hardy. He can't complete the charge though. He's taken down midway through. What? Owing to the bio grenade he's hit with. He can't make it.
Yeah, but what did Landon just? We got to get a look at Landon. I don't know if he was booped or whatnot, but yeah. Funny Astro questions it in the chat. On my screen, it looked like he had used his exo boots and went up in the sky and then went down into the hole. So we'll have to take a look. It looked like he did it on his own accord as well. That there was nobody there to assist him with doing that. So we'll have to take a look at that, because that's your Batiste there at the end with an immortality field. Maybe that's a pretty big difference maker towards the end.
Yeah, right now it looks like he's just conferring with the rest of his teammates. Unclear. I mean, we try and use his facial expression to tell, because sometimes you get like a very moth-esque expression and you sort of can piece it together. But Landon doesn't reply in chat, nor does anyone from the Spitfire, so they are locked in. Yeah,
his team basically probably said, "Oh, did you do something?" He's like, "Oh, no, I don't know what he's talking about."
Yeah, no replay viewer on this on the beta patch, so forget about it.
We caught him though. We caught him.
Forget about it.
We've seen it.
Okay. Well,
let's take a look.
Let's have a look. Yeah, sorry, Landon.
Well, okay, so this is Hardy's POV.
So Hardy.
So Landon's gonna be to your right here. He's like in the right on the corner. And yeah, you see him jump up there.
I see him. I think he
goes down. No, I don't think he got booped, because it looked like funny shows like by the payload.
Well, he was just engrossed in what was happening on the ground.
I would love to eventually see that from his POV, see if he was like booped or something. But we'll have London playing the Reinhardt on offense here. This is going to be hard. Oh, you're dirty!
That is... Wow, he predicts Patapan strafing to the left. That's unreal.
I was going to say, it's going to be hard for them to take the high ground. And now, not as much. And you just ruin Patapan at the beginning. Now you're going to lose Reinhardt. That's a huge opening there from Sparker.
I mean, that's an ankle snapper, for sure. The Gladiator, it's not even really Patapan's fault. I mean, of course you strafe in that direction, you're going to get pressured back into the corridor. Now, Spitfire look very scary, because there's no harassment from the soldier from high ground. He has to take a low ground position. He's not very effective against Ryan from there, and that's annoying. Nice job. Shu now going to have to reposition to be able to have any impact in this fight. Mutual knockdown, but it's immediately going to be a nice spike to the frontal lobe for Ryder. He's able to survive for now. Backbone get taken down by Patapan. He returning to the fight with a vengeance there, making up for lost time. And the Gladiators DPS reeve through the Spitfire.
And the thing that London misses is they do not have anybody who can go to the high ground and challenge like Shu if he set up, or Patapan coming off the spawn. All they have is Backbone being able to put a May wall up there, but still, they can just reposition at that time. And
yeah, it's only temporary.
Yeah, just keep everybody healed up.
Right, not a bad start for the Glads despite a horror beginning.
I also do like the fact that you said it's not Patapan's fault that he was out in the open and died immediately.
You have to be out there to see the enemy to shoot them. I mean, you have to straight back. I mean, his opponent completely 10D underwater mahjonged him. I don't know what to say. Like, he knew where he was going to be standing.
Yeah, I guess you're just defending the DPS players everywhere. I get it. That's usually.
Mate, it's out of character for me. No, I don't. I don't do that. I think you're all a pain in my neck.
I mean, I am a support player, so I feel the pain.
You are not. I don't think you've played Mercy ever.
I played some of the other ones. It's
what are they?
Nano Blade here.
Name the supports, Matt.
Ana. Zenyatta. Baptiste. This one's about the Ana. Nano. Oh, nice wall here. Blocking off the
I mean,
the
it means it's... You don't need it, I don't really think, right? You save it here.
Yeah, it's a Backbone's gonna get the immortality field there. That's huge, but you see Sparker use the visor, and he gets slept instantly there by Shu.
Admiral, I mean, my guy, he is up 2 stories, goes for the beat, but lands on the statue, and it works out. Provides it to the Spitfire. Landon's able to gun Reiner down. Bionic field used by Sparker, who has had Admiral's, Patapan's number rather, in a huge way in this match so far, and that's London picking up point A.
We knew Sparker was a very good player in last year, right? When we saw him, it's just the Spitfire just not very good. And now coming in, they add a few players, make some adjustments, and looking much better. As this will be a part of the map where I think London probably gets even better use out of the Reinhardt, right? In these like close quarters, like choke points, and the streets being able, especially with a shatter here, line up a few players.
Decent progress here for the Spitfire as they obviously start playing pretty far forward. And the seeing of Reinhardt here on the high ground is interesting, but it's really to deny Patapan in good positioning.
Hardy plays.
Hardy has a shadow.
Wild positions on Reinhardt.
Oh yeah, he's a little unhinged. Oh my, okay. Gets Funny Astro immediately with the up-close crit. That's going to hurt in the morning. Landon's Immortality Field is eventually removed, but in the meantime, Kevster plucked out of the mix, and it's a 3-player Gladiator squad here in full retreat.
Yeah, they know where Patty is, they know where Reiner is the Gladiators getting, oh, I was going to say stuck in this alleyway, but it's going to be Reiner with 2 shoes keeping them alive.
Power block engaged. Misses the punch, but has the get out of jail free card. That is wrong. Landon trying to stay alive here. Going to be a nano boost over towards, oh, rather no chance. Shu opts to hold on to it, in fact, as Reiner was topped up quite happily the whole time. I saw hard to get involved there, Matt. I thought, hang on, does this turn? Not to be the case.
No. I mean, Shu does a tremendous job backing into the subway, being able to keep Reiner alive through all of that. And that's enough to, end that fight as some heroics from Shu constantly here for the Gladiators. Right there, right? If those 2 players die and they take that, they probably take the second checkpoint. As the payload would have kept on moving all throughout that.
Patapan is calling. Care me, he says, as I go to the enemy backline. How does this go? Felix. Hardy here with the bio. Tack visor. Shu gets rid of the Reinhardt. And okay, Patapan takes the trade. Admiral steps up. Manning the helm. That's not going to be enough for the Spitfire. Just that 1 kill in the fight for them. They get wiped clean. And again, we're in a sub 90-second scenario where the Spitfire have to get a checkpoint. I'd be a little scared.
Oh, for sure. So what does London decide to do here? Looks like wrapping high ground, maybe? Trying to get some high ground control for your soldier. So you can maybe get a tack visor off. But there's a lot of areas you see here from this POV. But you can just line of sight this.
Is it a flank? No. So Sparker wants to retain the high ground if he can, but the Doomfist there is probably going to dissuade him. Okay, I think they spot the Ana there. Sparker says, I can burst them down with the blade going to come in. This might force some positioning. Kevster goes in. Immortality Field, but it's not going to be enough. Landon is taken down as Patapan helps his Genji out by removing the drone. Big play from Kevster, who has 18 final blows right now.
Yeah, they are rolling right now. As London, they toss just about everything into that. They'll have a sound barrier coming up next. So you might need to use this to engage as Backbone over to Sombra now. So gonna play the Sombra, maybe try and get a hack, burn a player down real quick. Maybe it'll go on a Reiner.
Reiner's able to Meteor strike his way out. Here's a sound barrier for the Spitfire. Landon lost his immortality. Oh, the power block punch was big. It hit 3. Is the follow-up going to be there, though? Reiner is going to be taken down, but Patapan has an incredible vantage point here until his foes move forward. Translocator taken down, but Spark is at 4 HP, and Bioden still able to stay alive. Hardy somehow hits Kevster with a charge. That's unreal. And the Spitfire get that second checkpoint. It's a 90-second extension.
It is not pretty, though, as the Spitfire needed a lot to go right there towards the end. They had the sound barrier, which really is the overhealing that gets them over the line, as not a lot of time to take this final checkpoint. You're going to need probably a big shatter, Naya Matrix here, and then maybe on the off chance that Backbone is actually able to build up towards this EMP. Could be quite impactful, but really looking at these manual hacks, that could be the difference.
Yeah, Backbone staying invisible whilst doing this, so constantly a pain in Reiner's neck. Nice boops there from Admiral again. Reiner grounded. Backbone reveals himself, has to translocate away here. 42 seconds left. Here's that amplification matrix now. Admiral back to the high ground to reclaim it for the Spitfire. Funny Astro reluctant to give it up. Oh, the sleep dart on Backbone. The follow-up is good. No Sombra here for the London Spitfire. The lights are on. And the London Spitfire all trying to head home here.
Oh, Hardy's gonna get a shatter.
Gets caught by Hardy. I don't know how he got Kevster there either. The shatter comes in for 2. Hardy might have turned this around. 17 seconds left and he's sat on the cart. Who will come and challenge him? That's the question. Is there time? Kevster might dash. He's able to get there in the nick of time. Jumping in is Reiner now. Comes in with a seismic slam, and Shu needs to get rid of this nano. He lets it go on Reiner. Got to knock Hardy away to the side, but Kevster's already fallen here. A sound barrier has to be used for the Gladiators, but the hack comes in. EMP from Backbone. Huge percent health damage. Spark is going to be knocked outside of his biotic field, and here comes a meteor strike from Reiner. He has to get back to the car. He's arrived. Big sound barrier from the Spitfire. They've had all the huge ultimates in this fight, but can they convert? Reiner wants to push Hardy back here. The card needs to be tended to, and the charge on Patapon is good. The Trace is down. Admiral knocked away for a brief moment, and hits a blade from Kester. Only good for one, though. Hardy running back to the car, but it's just a Reinhardt against the entirety of the Glads, and Astro's there for the boop. The Gladiators hold on, but only just.
Oh, is London mounted a comeback at the end there. Some big plays from Hardy between the pins and the shatters. It's still not enough, though, as the Gladiators hold on.
Well, this is sick, man. I mean, the Spitfire looked like they were down and out in that second phase of the map. They come up with the goods, a sneaky Sombra switch. They get an EMP even in that last fight. Seeing a bit of flexibility from London when they need it. This is starting to turn into an exciting match. And now the Spitfire need to fire back across the bow, a broadside, to take it to map 5. Stick around. Our 4th map is around the corner. Well, this match is now building to a fever pitch. It's 2-1 favoring the Los Angeles Gladiators after an explosive third map. Now, here's what's on the line. A victory in this next map for the Gladiators means not only do they qualify for Kickoff Clash, so do Houston and Florida right behind them.
Yes, which would be obviously huge for those two teams. If the Gladiators lose this map, but then I think win the series, I think they still qualify. I just don't think it actually advances those other two teams. You do have Houston and Florida watching this game close.
Yeah, I think it's actually the other way around. I think any win gets Florida and Houston through.
Oh, yeah, that might be true. Yeah.
Have to win 3-0 or 3-1.
Yeah.
Otherwise, it's sort of still uncertain here. So for them, this map means a heck of a lot. Going to a map 5 against the Spitfire is not going to do it for them. The pressure is on. Not only is it's not about winning the series, it's about winning the series right now.
Yes, no subs for either team going into the next map, which will be Control. I believe Oasis coming up. So I think one of the biggest battles for me coming into this next map is going to be Penathan against Sparker. I think Sparker has gotten the better.
He's getting dapped, man. Absolutely diffed.
I think Sparker's gotten the better today in terms of the soldier. I feel like he's looked really strong. I'm not going to scream and say he's been getting, what was it?
You pick one, dapped or diffed, mate.
Yeah, so
yeah,
I don't know if it's been that extreme, but I think that Sparker definitely has gotten the better today, though.
Don't let the truth get in the way of a good narrative, Matthew. You may be correct, though, and like Patapan, obviously, a few key moments for him, right? He goes on that flank, sort of behind the London Spitfire in that second phase of Kings Road, looking to make a play. Definitely forces some action there. Only sort of trades on the tactical visor, but again, puts London in position where they have to look forwards and backwards at the same time. So keep an eye for him here on Oasis. Patapan also, struggled on New Queen Street, right, to have the impact that he was looking for there. So this is the roster, though. Both these teams with their starting rosters heading into this fourth map. And for the Gladiators, it's got to end here. If they want to go to Texas, they must win Oasis. They must end the series here.
Yes, we'll see what type of... there's a few points here that are pretty decent for the Reinhardt, right? So maybe the Reinhardt compositions make a difference. I also thought that London looked pretty decent playing the Winston-based stuff, right? I don't think they should be afraid to fall back to that if they need be.
It worked out for them, right? Dorado. Again, I felt like a lot of their power was concentrated around Hardy, and maybe less so their DPS, just the way that Hardy was able to punish Reiner multiple times when he queued up with that with the honor of Landon, right?
Yeah, and seeing Backbone in leads me to believe that they're not going to try and play Winston-based stuff, that they're going to stick with this Reinhardt and Mei. We have seen Backbone play the Genji, but to mixed reviews, right? So I think if you were going to try and play something that had some Tracer in it or whatnot, you most certainly would have brought Shaxx in.
London Spitfire here have the option on some maps to really force that Reinhardt and have it be generally favored. City Center, though, it's a bit of a different situation. A lot of high ground access and a lot of ways to flank around a Reinhardt position. If the Spitfire go for that play, yeah, I mean, it would be a little risky to do so. So we get the London Spitfire on what I would say is their sort of secondary team comp. Probably not their preferred here, but they know at some point they have to play to the map, Matthew.
Yeah, exactly. As we'll see Backbone on Tracer potentially here, which it's a big, well, I assume, yeah, Kevster's going to play Tracer, so it's a pretty big matchup. Taking on that head-to-head against Kevster, even Shaxx, one of the better Tracers in the league, really like a Tracer specialist, still has a tough time with a player like Kevster.
Here we go. From the high ground first is London Spitfire. Kevster looking to try and pressure. Good bionic grenade connection from Shu, and mate, what an easy way to start off a fight. Love to see that. Yeah, this is going to be the Gladiators pretty comfortably set up here. Also want to point out that Patapan actually, this is one of our Emerald as well in our little chat, outperformed Sparker across the board stat-wise at Kings Row. So we sort of said, I was definitely a bit of hyperbole there saying there was a gap. There wasn't even one at all. So bear that in mind as Patapan looks to try and continue.
Why watch the games when we have stats?
You love stats, man.
Yep. So that'll be the Gladiators taking that first fight. Leave it at that instead.
I mean, there's not much to say, right? There's a body grenade and you kill both backliners. So, yeah, the Gladiators here want to try and continue to press a disadvantage, but they walk into Spitfire territory and Ryder gets decomposed.
Yeah, and it happened a few times when he was playing the Reinhardt, but we haven't seen it happen when kind of like playing in that, playing the Doomfist against the Reinhardt. We haven't seen that happen to Reiner when they're playing the Winston-based composition. So London being able to pick him off early, where the Gladiators maybe have not even needed to be that aggressive, but with the Biotic Grenade, probably want to try and follow it up. You end up catching Reiner off guard, and you're able to put the point.
All right, so Gladiators here. Force-fed a little bit of humble pie. They do not have the high ground control here, of course, and you see Sparker looking to get a lot of value out of that. Now, both artists have Bio, rather Nano. Pulse Bomb avoided there for the time being, and both soldiers are close to attack visor, so bear that in mind now. Spark is going to be the one that gets the Nano boost here from Landon in this fight to allow him to build that tack, and it's going to be Patapon that tries to let him go straight away. It's going to be a Nano attack from him as well. A lot of damage on the back line, and there it is, 4 kills from Patapon. Jaw hits the ground, even he can't believe it. He comes up with the ace, and look at the pressure come off his shoulders. He's feeling good.
Yeah, it's a huge tech visor. Nano with the tech visor. Everybody's just kind of playing on the point. Nobody able to shield right as Hottie is asleep on the other side of the map. Didn't invest sound barrier there, so comes up with a huge kills with the tech visor. It gets a 5K. So we'll see now. Gladiators playing a little bit more passive, right? Don't want to make that same mistake, going a little bit deep, get picked off early.
Okay. Boot back there by a
chunk of damage.
Yeah, ooh, another bio here as well. Sparker needs to keep his head down for the time being. Hardy. This Primal is achieving what exactly? Pressure on Patapon, to be fair. But how he's out of Primal, oh dear, I don't think he was able to estimate sort of how deep he could go adequately. Patapon punishes and Sparker gets a little gift. Send back to spawn.
Hottie kind of does his job there in the sense that like he wants to occupy those players up on the high ground, and like his teammates need to pick up a kill and make a play somewhere else on the map, right? If he's, you know, occupying 2-3 players up there on the high ground, you have an advantage.
He's dodging the cars! Oh, my! Hey, who needs Winston when you got family? That was unreal. Okay.
Not able
First
to make
round, Los Angeles Gladiators. Yeah. Okay, so
yeah.
I mean, okay, so I was a bit hard about the Winston play, right? I said, what's the purpose of him sort of being up here with the Primal Rage? And he's sort of occupying plays. He's not really displacing them from that high ground. But you'd prefer to sort of point the finger at the rest of the Spitfire there and not being able to generate any more action behind that.
I mean, yeah, you're in what? Like, let's say he's occupying 2 players up on the high ground. You're in a scenario where it's like a 4-on-3, right? And, you know, there's like the soldier and like an on up there on the high ground, so it's like a large source of their healing and a large source of their damage. Like, you should be able to find somebody you can kind of get low, try and finish off, right? You have a Biotic Grenade, you have some other things to use there, so you don't exactly, like, it's not really Hottie's job to get up there Primal, pick up a kill with that, right? And like open the whole thing up himself. Like, there needs to be some, you know, some more help from some of the DPS.
Well, some help has arrived in the form of a map that caters a lot more to the Reinhardt strategy. Hardy, able to make the switch. Kepster, maybe underestimating just how much damage he was, underestimating rather, how much damage he was about to take. He's going to be topped up all the same. Needs a fire strike on the way down though, getting a little crispy around the edges, but still drops down, gets that mini health pack, and he was there to catch Backbone when he fell.
But still, it's going to be a Biotic Grenade. Immortality kill, keeping them alive for a little bit, but not long enough. I was going to say, maybe you can keep Sparker alive and then make a play for the point, but Reinhardt comes starting to fall apart here a little bit. It's just Admiral and Hottie. Hottie, I think, makes it out. So
I love how Hardy just gets thrust into the camera, you know, from like a bunch of CC. It could be like the Doomfist or the Lucio. He just emerges. Oh, that's a large man in armor just appearing here, not being able to do too much as he's displaced. Charge, love to see it. Okay, here's Reiner, goes in there, walled off. Sheepishly backs up, slowed down, power block now. Big bio, Backbone and Landon get absolutely doused.
So you kind of think back to Overwatch 1, right? You play a composition like this, you have like a Zarya bubble, you have like a Diva to eat some of these Biotic Grenades. Nothing though now is that'll be Reiner getting taken down, and he jumps in right away, just gets blown up.
At all costs, you want to avoid the mutual knockdown there and kill the one that's diving Really tough result there for Reiner as he gets punished. Landon's down though here. Funny Astro was able to find that kill and evade Sparker somehow. Continuing to frustrate the soldier. Funny Astro, you're unreal. He eventually gets taken down by that Helix rocket and Hardy's able to find Kevster, but the Glad still have control of the point here. Wall up, try and catch Patapon. He's going to dodge and duck away, but Admiral chases him down. Reiner wanting to stall for as long as he can, pops out a Meteor, back to spawn.
That fight kicks off with like 33-ish%, and you get it all the way up to the Gladiators to 62. They're still in a fantastic spot. London needs to control this high ground, needs to make good use out of the Soldier 76. Punish these players as they come up. Do not allow Kevster and Reiner to just jump in, live forever, become nuisances for the team.
Kevster emerges from somewhere behind. He's going to get a sound barrier there, so he can't be punished by the London Spitfires. Patapon wants to force them off that high ground with the attack visor. Yep, and they've got them inside that small room. That's where Hardy would be pretty happy to play, though. Kevster's blade might have to be the difference maker here. Tries to cut Backbone out of his Chrysalis, but Landon's going to punish him there. It's a 5v4 now as eventually that Immortality field is taken down. Sparker looks unbothered right now, flourishing, moisturized in his lane, but Hardy's going to get rid of Reiner with the Fire Strike now. The Gladiators, like that front line, they've got the players to do something here, but Funny Astro takes a bunch of damage and they can't punish Hardy.
No, as they can't dislodge him at all, as London will hold on to the point. Gonna tie this one up and then quickly pass the Gladiators. In terms of percentage, I was also scared there for London, man. When Admiral used that sound barrier early and Kevster held onto the blade, you thought that blade could be huge, and turns out doesn't result in anything for the Gladiators. Is this a flanking Blizzard we're gonna see?
Backbone notices the Glads are a little split, so where can he get the most value out of this? Patapon trying to run away. Oh, there's Sleep Dart. It doesn't stop the Blizzard, and Patapon
doesn't matter,
still turned into a sculpture on the vestiges of it. Still 2 for 2 there. Landon's Immortality field down. Spitfire don't have confidence in their positioning right now as Backbone's forced to ice block here. They may have to cede the points. Admiral down. Kevster's able to pin him up against the wall there, and Backbone's not going to fare much better. The Meteor Strike for Reiner is up.
Still,
and he found
99%
seismic slam damage.
99%. That's huge for the Spitfire. Trying to send this one with one fight to a map point potentially. So, Patapon on the flank gets spotted out here by Admiral. Oh, he's gonna get chased down. Oh, nice kill there.
Oh, the sound barrier! Patapon has got to get away with absolute murder and some, Matthew. Reiner going to force away Hardy, who has a shadow but no chance to use now. The Gladiators put themselves in a one-fight scenario. Talk about the getaway plan from Patapon. Incredible response from Funny Astro.
And Backbone over the Tracer, trying to get a touch here. You got Shatter in the attack visor here for London.
Spark is going to let the visor go. Who can he find though? Charges up Reiner's power block. That's all he's done so far. Kevster from on high, forced to deflect that damage away. Hardy has a shatter here. Reiner backing up a little bit, then lost Backbone. It's going to be attack fights from Patapon. Okay, Reiner is going to be felled. Hardy's inside the Immortality field. He's able to take down the Doomfist, but forced away from the point, and he's very low on HP. The healers need to get healing for the Spitfire, and Admiral deploys that sound barrier. Another Kevster blade that doesn't really hit the mark. The high ground, he goes. He can't find Landon. No, the deflect was there. The Baptiste has fallen for the London Spitfire. They needed Landon so badly, and now Admiral gonna get taken low. Reiner's gonna find him with that the seismic slam, excuse me, but Kevster's there to punish Hardy on that high ground. The Gladiators wrap it up here. They have done it, Matt. Qualifying for the kickoff clash, winning the series 3-1.
Really close game between these two teams. I think if you're a Gladiators fan, you are more relieved, I think, than happy. Happy you qualified, but I think more relieved in the sense that London, they really brought it in this series today and gave you a lot of trouble where a lot of these maps could have went either way.
Oh, man. Patapon there as well, stepping up in a huge way in that last map. Just very consistent for the entirety of it. And that big old 5K in that first round was what gives the Gladiators that momentum, spurs them ahead. Beautiful result here for Los Angeles, especially after such a sluggish start to the series. Felt like they were unsure about how to deal with this Reinhardt setup, but the maps played to the Gladiators, and they in turn played to them. Let's talk about your player of the match here for the Los Angeles Gladiators. Some substitutions from Los Angeles here, Matt, but Kevster was the one factor that really kept the Glads heads above water when things got tough.
It seemed like every time they needed a play to happen, it was Kevster or even Shu, right, who were the ones to make it. But Kevster, big on the Tracer, big on the Genji. They are on the end, right? Able to pick up a few kills on Genji, and then some big pulse bombs where he's kind of the foundation of this team at this point, right? He's the one who's been here for a few years now, really the building block, and you see why. Fantastic performances day in, day out.
Kevster here. This is one of his definitely much more successful blades. There were some that, I mean, were really hard for him to get value out of, right? There was always a sound barrier in the way or an immortality field. Kevster's playing Genji on hard mode. So getting, north of 10 final blows per 10 minutes, fantastic job from him. Again, he really has to put himself in harm's way a lot. This Gladiators team generally prefers to not play the Tracer, right? They're trying to deal with this sort of Reinhardt play. So Kevster doesn't have the flexibility of getting in, getting out, getting in. When he's on that Genji, if he's in, he's in.
I would say this is a bit of a wake-up call of a series, though, for the Gladiators. Like, you're going to go to the Kickoff Clash, right? You're going to go play in Dallas. But to play against those top teams and beat those top teams, you are going to have to play much better than this. I think consistency is going to be key throughout that entire weekend. So I think if the Gladiators relieved that you're going to go, not kind of up in the air, but still got to stir some things up before that event.
Now, there are implications for qualification to the Kickoff Clash as a result of this match, so hopefully we'll hear about that on the desk now as we head to a break. When we come back, we'll break down this match and tease the next one. Don't go too far. This is the Overwatch League.
The Overwatch League is brought to you by Upper Deck, the official trading card of the Overwatch League. And by TeamSpeak, the official voice supplier of the Overwatch League.
Welcome to Game Break, everybody. We're here now, joined by Kevster from Los Angeles Gladiators. Kevster, hello. Congratulations.
Hello.
Oh, you also got the player of the match, and also you guys are qualified. You guys got clinched a spot for the Kickoff Clash tournament. How are you feeling?
I'm feeling good, thank you.
All right. So let's quickly talk about this match. You know, it was a 3-1 victory for the Gladiators, but I do feel like London put up a good fight and it was a close match. What about London gave you guys a hard time today?
I think coming into the match, we're a bit nervous considering our past 2 matches. So we just wanted to and then we're not really used to playing the Ryan comp because they're pretty much the only team that plays it. So we just started out slow, but we adapted and just came through.
Okay, I mean, you did mention that you guys felt a little bit nervous because of the past 2 matches. How were you able to overcome that?
I think we just needed a mental reset, really. It's not that big of a deal. Just mental reset and focus.
So you guys just focus up
focus next.
Mental reset.
Yeah, yeah, pretty much.
Nice. All right. And I mean, yeah, just right now you talked about your previous 2 matches, and I do want to sort of talk about that as well because it was a tough 2 back-to-back losses, back-to-back reverse sweeps that you guys had. Were there any big takeaway lessons for the Gladiators from those 2 losses coming into today, and also going into the Kickoff Clash tournament?
I think we just need to learn and adapt from our small mistakes that, these small mistakes that snowballed and eventually cost us the match. We just need to like I said, just reset and focus on next map.
All right. Well, I mean, that's a big takeaway lesson, and I feel like, you know, that really paid off. You guys looked great today. Your Genji, I think the very last map, right? His Genji reflect onto Landon. That was crazy. I just wanted, that's not a question, Kester. I just wanted to say that was really crazy. That was really good. And the final question for you, Kester, is, you know, you guys made it to the tournament. Is there a team that you really want to beat in this tournament cycle? I'm guessing it's either Dallas Fuel or the San Francisco Shock. It could be both. What are your thoughts on it?
Yeah, I would say I want to beat both, just for the revenge. And I think I say for our entire team that we just want to prove that we're the better team, and I think we are. We just need to prove it on match.
You guys got it. Okay, well, good luck, Kester, and again, thank you so much, and hope to talk to you soon again. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Oh, he didn't wave back at you. Poor daddy.
You didn't get away on that one.
No, it's just, you know, sometimes you talk, you say your outro, and then sometimes I'm really hyped up.
Wave too.
And and I was like, for this one, I felt a little bit too calm, so it would be it's a bit of a weird thing where you're like, okay, thank you, and I can't just be all of a sudden be like, you know, it was like a calm bye, and so I was like, I just went with the flow. I was like, okay.
Well, someone who will definitely wave back is, of course, Reinforced, because he would never let a friend hanging. Ain't that right, Jonathan?
Yeah, I'll wave. All right. Yeah. I thought about it. For 2 seconds, and I was like,
I feel like we win.
I don't want to be cringe. I just want to be friends. Okay.
I like that. Today already feels like a success just because of what just transpired here in 2 different boxes. Now, let's discuss the match though. Reinforce, I mean, London looked good. Unfortunately, there were a bunch of fights towards the end of 3 maps where they couldn't finish it out, but that was a really good effort. Like, they looked as strong as anyone could have hoped for, and then some. Hadi, absolute chat energy on the server today.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of Spitfire, they're like this. Okay, bear with me, guys. Bear with me. They're like this Pokemon gym, right? That you really have to overcome, but ultimately, it's still